Now, who knew the blackberry root bark is for diarrhea?
Blackberries is one of the best known remedies for diarrhea, but you can't find it on the shelves. Wonder why? Well, if you get up here and you have to fight all these thorns, no wonder we can't find it on the shelves. And you think, well, the roots, that's a lot of roots, that's ought to give you plenty of medicine. But no, it's not the whole root you use, it is the bark. So you got to take the bark off. You have this little tiny amount of bark. You don't have this whole root. Okay, now of course on these bigger roots you can go ahead and scrape the bark off. But if all you've got are these little tiny ones, you can probably just break these up in little small pieces and use those.
The leaves are also astringent, just not as astringent as the bark, but can be used in the spring and summer for mild diarrhea. The berries can also be used. Again, not as strong as the bark. Unripe berries will be more astringent than the ripe ones. Just be sure and strain out the seeds. The seeds are considered a scouring laxative. Now, blackberry jelly could also be used. Now, only use the jam if you strain out the seeds. Once again, the seeds would be a scouring laxative. Now, cooked apples with the peelings contain pectin. Pectin causes fluids to gel, and the tartar the better. Now, that's cooked apples, not raw, and do not drink apple juice. That would be a laxative. Coconut macaroons or coconut cookies are a well-known remedy for diarrhea when traveling, which is why you do not want to overeat real coconut pie over the holidays. Now, David Hoffman suggests if you're taking a blackberry root alcohol tincture, 2 to 5 meals 3 times a day, or a blackberry root tea, which is 1 to 2 grams of dried root bark in 1 cup of water, simmered for 10 minutes, and drink this 3 times a day. Now, Rosemary Gladstar, her tea remedy is 3 parts of blackberry root bark, 1 part of slippery elm root, and an eighth a part of cinnamon. And you would simmer 1 teaspoon of this mixture in 1 cup of water for 20 minutes, and then take 1 to 4 tablespoons every hour or as needed. Blackberry root bark is an astringent herb. Astringent herbs contain tannins, which are used for all leaky conditions. Leaky conditions such as excessive mucus in the respiratory system, watery eyes in case of allergies, excessive urination and UTIs, are used as septics to stop bleeding, and spongy gums. And back to our subject, watery stools as in diarrhea. Astringents tighten tissue and strengthens the tissue. Contracting and toning the tissues keep pathogens out and fluids in. Foods and herbs that cause you to pucker up. Used properly, astringents bring the body back to its normal function. Overused, they can be drying and cause the opposite effect. So astringent herbs are often combined with demulcent herbs, herbs that are rich in mucilage that soothes and protects inflamed and irritated tissue, such as marshmallow root, licorice root, and slippery elm. Blackberry root bark is the most recommended for diarrhea, although there are other astringents: yarrow, agrimony, lady's mantle, cranesbill. Oat bark is the very strongest and to be used as a last resort. In most cases, you do not want to stop diarrhea until the next day. Normally, you have diarrhea because you have some sort of food poisoning, bacterial, fire infection, or a parasite, and the body is trying to get rid of it. Your course of action should be activated charcoal will absorb and bind the pathogen so they can be removed from the body. You can get it as a loose powder or as a capsule. You want to prevent dehydration with fluids and replace electrolytes that are lost. And you can use herbs for the gas and cramps, even though the charcoal should help with the gas. Now, warning, dehydration caused by diarrhea can be deadly in children. Seek medical attention if diarrhea lasts more than 1 day in small children or infants. Now, if your diarrhea is caused by nervous tension or anxiety or food allergies or medication, use herbs that are calming and antispasmodic. German chamomile, catnip, lemon balm, meadowsweet, valerian, lobelia, wild yam. Teas are always the best, but alcohol or glycerin tinctures can be used. Now, the essential oil of peppermint could be rubbed around the navel in a clockwise circle. Diarrhea that is caused by chronic conditions such as inflammatory disease, bowel dysfunction, and medical procedures or injury to the gut. You can try all this previous advice, but you really need professional advice and watch for signs of dehydration. Of course, general signs of dehydration would be thirst, less urination, dry skin, fatigue, being lightheaded. Now, signs for children would be a dry mouth and tongue, absent of tears when crying, dry diapers for 3 hours or more, high fever, listlessness, irritability, sunken eyes, abdomen, and cheeks. And try the pinch test. Pinch the skin behind the top of the breast and pull up. Now, the skin should return to its normal position when you let go. If the skin stays up like a 10, seek immediate medical attention. Drink rehydrating fluids like chicken broth, beef broth, Pedialyte, Emergency, fruit beverages, Gatorade and other sports drinks, coconut water. A homemade rehydration formula would be a quart of water with 6 teaspoons of regular sugar and a half teaspoon of salt. Now, seek medical help if diarrhea lasts more than 3 days, in small children or infants more than 1 day, signs of severe dehydration, severe abdominal pain, fever over 101 degrees Fahrenheit, blood or pus in the stools, prolonged or recurring diarrhea after a camping trip or foreign traveling, or if it started after starting a new medication or a medical procedure. And you might be an herbalist if you make blackberry tea. Like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss any of these natural healing remedies.